Didn't attach the video to this laptop. Go look up quantum locking and you'll find this. How you can float and quantum lock, and how the stone circles, the channels were actually used as electromagnetic tracks that would hold these devices on there, on which they would just transport things. And I also have this from a past life regression. That is, the probability of the guy that would have known this is several billion to one that he would have known this. Because he's never heard of me, he's never heard of Anunnaki, he's never heard of the stone circles in Southern Africa. And yet this is what he explained in his past life regression. How he was building stone circles in South Africa, that they were mining gold, how they created them to generate sound, and how they used the channels between the circles to levitate and move material from one circle to the other. So, and this brings us to coming to the end of my part of the presentation, just to really blow your mind about the fact that we have more than 10 million stone circles around South Africa, generating incredible amounts of energy. Free energy, it's there. All we got to do is figure out how to tap into it. So when people say we're looking for free energy, you can tell them, well, we found free energy, and it comes from sound. What's interesting is that this Earth grid, many of you will be familiar with it. And look, there's the nodal point right on Adam's calendar. And there's the other one on the Great Pyramids of Giza, all along the 31 degrees east longitudinal line. And we find this is fascinating because all the ancient temples and ancient ruins in the world seem to be built on these nodal points of these crossing points of these energy lines. And then I found this here, the Sumerian tablet, and this is not a Zachariah Sitchin translation. This is from the Shoyin collection in Oslo. It says, in the distant days, in those days after destinies had been decreed, after An and Enlil had set up the regulations for heaven and earth, Enki, the exalted knowing God, by the rules for heaven and earth, the fixed rules, he set up cities. So they're telling us in some way that they built these cities in ancient times on the rules, the energetic rules by which they knew that run along the planet Earth. And these rules seem to be echoed in the heavens and earth. And now we start looking at ancient temples in Egypt. And we wonder, what are these things all about? You know, and they tell us, and this is for worshipping this God, and worshipping that goddess, and offering this, and offering that, and it just doesn't make any sense. And then I stood next to this, just go back here quickly. You can see that little piece, that little obelisk there, on the right, is this one here. And when I stood next to it and tapped on it, I realized that it rings just like a bell. It's just like the stones, the stones in the stone circles. They conduct sound, and they are energy conductors, either out of the sky and downwards or from the ground upwards. But then you realize that they're just in these temples, there are too many pillars, not enough space. And you start looking at it going, why are there too many pillars? And then you see all those weird rectangular things there with no doors and entrances, and bigger rectangular things, and even more rectangular things. And you go, it doesn't make any sense. And even the Acropolis in Greece, the Greeks didn't build the Acropolis, they inherited it, just like the Egyptians inherited the pyramids. And when you look at around the main pillars there, they're very rectangular structures that you hardly see, but if you look closely. And then there's this weird thing, too many pillars and not enough space, and rooms with no entrances, and that is connected to this amphitheater here, and that amphitheater connected to that amphitheater there. And you go, hold on, and then these big things here, and they say these are the living quarters over here, and these are worship places for the people that lived over there. No, many of those things are it's too rectangular, it's too perfect, no doors and entrances between them. And then you see this one here, I mean, look at it, too many pillars, not enough space to do what? And then this big empty space over there, and you go, what's going on? And these two concentric circles in front of it that make you think, hold on, are we dealing with something else? And you realize that we're not dealing with temples and places of worship. What we're dealing with, look on the left here, these are just very, very large versions. They're not temples, they are templates. Templates for what? Giant energy circuits. And that's what we're dealing with. Giant computer circuits that were generating the energy from the sound of Gaia and putting it into the sky and creating some sort of energetic grid around planet Earth. I'm not going to go into what this energetic grid was for, but it becomes very obvious that these are just gigantic versions of what we're using in miniature format in the most modern technology we have available today. And everything changes suddenly. No more worshipping and this temple and this goddess and that god, and then they used water. What are those pillars in these temples made of? Silica. Mostly silica in there. It's stone, granite. Granite is made up of 90% silica. And you suddenly realize that these giant things are just giant versions of these here. You know, right next to the rest of the silica of the board. And even in the Mayan culture, they anthropomorphize these energy things. So that when you put people over it, it suddenly, it hides the mystery. And then the pyramids, I've always wondered, why are these big rectangular things? It's also structured around the pyramids because they were all giant energy grids. We can start comparing it to small versions of these that we use today. And then we find out that these rules and this energy grid around the world is well known and well recognized by the military and the Air Force, and they refer to them as the rules around planet Earth in the sky. The same way that Sumerian tablet, where Enki, the exalted god, according to the fixed rules of heaven and earth, built the cities. I believe that this is what these are referring to. David Wilcock actually made this known to the world. That's the first time I saw this. And I saw this as the rules, and I suddenly went back to my clay tablets and I went, oh my goodness, he's talking about the same thing. And to finish, before I hand over to Jim, just to tell you that we are the source for generating the energy in these, because you'll find that just like at the Acropolis, here's the amphitheater, there's another amphitheater on the right there. You cram a lot of people in there, and the amphitheater is connected through channels to this entrance portal, to this large grid here, this large circuit board on top of the mountain. So you cram a lot of people in there, you get them excited, they make a hell of a racket, make a lot of noise. That's sound energy. Sound is energy. That noise is channeled through the connected channels there to the entrance portal here. It starts up this whole PC board here and sends the energy into the sky for putting this grid around planet Earth. This is why they had these long obelisks at all these ancient sites. There probably was an obelisk here as well, but it's long gone. We don't know what happened to the obelisk. I'm just suggesting that. And if you think this is just here at the Acropolis, no. There are many great examples. There's your amphitheater connected to this very badly eroded PC board here, giant PC board. And, get the people in there, let them create the noise, and you start up the engine and get the energy flowing into the sky. And there's another one. There, right at the top of the mountain, there's your PC board, and there's your amphitheater. Just start it up and feed the energy up to the sky. So this is really what the history of our planet deals with. It deals with sound as a source of energy and some mysterious things that were happening that we have no idea about, and that there's this weird grid around planet Earth. And if there's time at the end, we can talk about this grid, because it's critical to who we are and how we perceive ourselves in this reality right here, right now, on this pale blue dot called planet Earth. And that's when we come back later, when I take over from Jim later and we talk about contributionism. We're going to talk about what we've learned from this.